Making money for your music brand. I know as musicians, as independent artists, making money is a challenge. You have to be your own boss. You have to create revenue streams on your own and build your team to do so. However, I believe that all of us can do it, all of us can achieve it. And if we put our minds to it and be strategic and be tactful and put our focus, we can all create money from our fans and create products and services with our music and use that to reinvest into our music and our brands. So I've come up with 5 ways in doing so. So for my first tip, point, music publishing and licensing. You have to get your publishing right, because once you get your song out, you release it to the world, you don't know where that music's gonna go. You might have a hit in a different country and you may not know. So the first and foremost important thing is to make sure that you create the back end for where your music needs to go. So wherever your music lands, you can create revenue. For example, you can sign up with a publisher, do your own publishing, create your own LLC, or also go to the PROs and sign up. Make sure you have all those things set up, because those things are important. And once you get your music rolling, once you create that value for your music and it's out, once it started to create residuals and revenue, you can create $1,000 each month, $2,000. And as you go along, you create more opportunities for yourself. You can eventually live off of your music that way. So, importantly, get your music out. And importantly, this is so important for licensing when you get your music into movies, trailers, and so on and so forth. That is going to be so important. Publishing is going to be the key to making sure that you have your royalties collected into your account so you can do the things that you need to do with your music. So for my point number 2, merchandising. Merchandising is also a great tool, a great way to monetize a brand. You know, before we would have to find a distributor, we'd have suppliers, we'd have to find printers, and we would have to go through all that process. Even though that process still exists, we have the internet today. And one of the things that we can do is use print-on-demand services like Printify, Printful, and so on and so forth. We have no excuse. We can have a store full of merchandise with your logo on it within a matter of hours. Just spending a day or two creating a storefront using platforms like WooCommerce or Shopify and using print-on-demand services, and voila! In a weekend, by Monday, you have a store full of merchandise. And then you market to your crowd, your audience, to your friends and families, and you keep on growing. So with minimal cost, you can have a storefront of merchandise just by using print-on-demand services. So for point number 2, crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is another great way to create revenue for your brand. Whether you're trying to raise money for your new project, whatever that might be, that might be a movie, that might be for your new album, or that might be some other creative endeavor around your music brand and music. But also, crowdfunding like Patreon and other sites like it is a great way to create membership. You know, there's so many creatives and musicians out there who have memberships to where, hey, if you want to support the things I do and you like what I do, for me to create more of that and reinvest into you and reinvest into my brand, you can join my Patreon, maybe for $3, $5. Some other musicians and creatives out there, they have different tiers. Like, so for example, they might say, hey, sign up for $15 and you'll get a new merchandise every 3 months, and so on and so forth. So with crowdfunding, it's very diverse. There's a lot of options, and I would suggest anybody out there who's interested into crowdfunding, explore those options because they're out there. So for my point number 4, events. This is my favorite, right? I've done lots of events, and I've done anything from workshops to networking events. But you as a musician, this is a great way to get your brand out, you know? You can create workshops if you're a producer or you want to teach a specific skill. If you like educating people, anybody could do it. You're an expert. Everybody's an expert in anything. And you, as a musician, can teach your craft to people. You can create things like concerts. Concerts are a great way to get your brand out, to have people come and listen to you, and reinvest into the next event like that. So events are another great way of recreating and getting your brand out and making money. So for my last point, sponsorships. That's another big one. You don't necessarily have to have the biggest brand on the planet, but you have to have something to where a sponsor has a benefit, usually, to grow and gain exposure for their brand, and you do the same in return. So whether, again, you're doing an event, you can get sponsors for that. You can get sponsors for your content if you're a content creator. There's many YouTube brands and other types of content creators who have sponsors for creating content on the internet. So there's many ways you can do so. You can go to Corporate 500, or you can go to your local mom and pop shop and say, hey, I'm having an event. I need sponsors. I am marketing to the local crowd, and hey, maybe if you sponsor me and maybe you have your products at show, they can come by and say, hey, you know what? I'm down the street and I live next to you, so I'm gonna come around and hey, I'll pay you a visit and possibly buy something from you. So at the end of the day, it's so important to monetize your brand. I'm all about being pragmatic, and these are 5 ways, again, out of the many that I think that you can use for your brand.